was heard across the field of battle and across time itself, for the sound proclaimed the end of an age and the dawn of an age, and those that heard it were filled with fear and awe. And at the sound of the horn there was another sound like that of a mighty thunderstorm. Suddenly, beside he that sounded the horn, there stood a man of incredible size and strength. He stood twice the height of any other man or woman on the field of battle, and his arms were stained red with the blood of 1,000 conquests, and in his right hand he held a sword with which he slew his enemies and their children, and in his left hand he held a lit torch with which he burned their fields and homes. And the name of the first emissary is War.
I am blood and bone, I am ash and stone, and the sword and spear, and the hammer and bow, the cry of men when they die alone on the battlefield. I am blood and bone, I am ash and stone, and the sword and spear, and the hammer and bow, the cry of men when they die alone on the battlefield. I am war.
Violence, desolation, conquest, dominance, holy nation. Flesh will burn, broken bones will rattle, bodies piled on the fields of battle. Bloodshed, violence, desolation, conquest, dominance, holy nation. Flesh will burn, broken bones will rattle, bodies piled on the fields of battle.
Spread like wildfire, all consuming, nothing but wreckage left behind. I will trample all before me, even in victory or will die.
Bloodshed, violence, desolation, conquest, dominance, holy nation. Flesh will burn, broken bones will rattle, bodies piled on the fields.
I am blood and bone, I am ash and stone, and the sword and spear, and the hammer and bow, the cry of men when they die alone on the battlefield. I am wreckage, carnage, slavery, bondage, endless power, leaving foes despondent, massacre countries and baby homage. Oh, I am war like wildfire, all consuming, nothing but wreckage left behind. I will trample all before me, even in victory or will die. When the emissaries come to the sound of the horn and drum, the descending is our ending, but will be her victory. When the emissaries come to the sound of the horn and drum, victory, honor, glory will be to her name.
Then there came a sound like 1,000 voices screaming, and another 1,000 weeping. Behind War, rising up out of its shadow, and accompanying that sound, there stood a figure, neither man nor woman, and only in vaguest form, human. It could not be seen, for where it was, there was nothing. Only where its body should have been, there was a vacuous space where, when gazed upon, men could see to the edge of reality and beyond. And the eyes of all that fell upon the figure began to bleed, as though they wept with deepest sorrow, and their minds were filled with terror, and their bodies shook violently, so much so that they dropped their swords and fell to their knees, for they had no control of their bodies. And the name of the second emissary is Fear, for it causes great fear in the minds of men because of the wake of the first emissary, that is War, and because of the coming of the third emissary. sound was that of a bullwhip when it cracks, and all that heard it became deaf, for the sound was so great, and the sight was pure light, and those that looked at the light when it appeared became blind, so that they could not even see their hands in front of their faces. When the sound and the sight faded, there stood beside the first emissary, that is war, a woman whose skin was white like marble stone, and whose garments were of pure gold. She was beautiful in form, and those that looked on her were overcome, and found themselves unable to hold their gaze. In her right hand were scales, with which she tested the hearts, minds, and souls of men. And in her left hand she held a hammer, with which she judges and crushes the unworthy. And the name of the third emissary is Judgment.
You've been weighed in the balance and been found wanting nothing but chaff and dross. You have failed to meet her expectations. Well, the scales don't lie in Imperiae's eye. Well, the judgment's been made, whether you live or die. So bow down to your fate, don't repent, it's too late. You have proven your worth, now return to the earth. You have done all you can, but you've fallen over your rise. She has seen all your doings and you found favor. There's no defeat or loss. You will rise up beside her and bask in glory. Well, the scales don't lie in Imperiae's eye. Well, the judgment's been made, whether you live or die. Stepping forward in faith, you may lift up your face. You have proven your worth. Now go conquer the earth. You have done all that you've been commanded. Now you may rise. Sons and daughters, you have all found favor within. Arise! When the emissaries come to the sound of the horn and drum, the descending is our ending, but will be her victory. When the emissaries come to the sound of the horn and drum, victory, honor, glory will be to her name.
Then there was a great silence that pressed on the ears and chest of all that heard it. Suddenly, there was the form of a man within the shadow of the third emissary, that is Judgment. The man's chest was bare, and his stance wide, so that he could not be moved, neither by the power of man nor beast. And when the man moved, he could not be stopped, nor could his course be altered. And he came up out of the shadow of Judgment, though moved independently, and no one could predict or determine where he would go. His hands were empty, having no weapon in them, but with his hands he took hold of the men and women around him, and removed their souls from within them, but left their bodies intact. The souls he removed he devoured, and his eyes glowed with the power he obtained from them. In his wake he left the bodies of men, women, children, and wild beasts. Those who stood before him could not see his coming, and of those behind him, all had fallen. And the name of the fourth and final emissary is Death.
Mortis, venit, adult, venis, lone, perfum, gere, mortis, sinis, ut sinis et urbis, sinis, ut sinis.
When the emissaries come to the sound of the horn and drum, the descending is our ending, but will be her victory. When the emissaries come to the sound of the horn and drum, victory, honor, glory, we